Welcome to ChessWire. I'm your host, Adam Carter, with your chess news. Today is Friday, October 7th, 2022. In your headlines today, what Hikaru, Gotham Chess, and others got wrong about the Hans Niemann report. Also, is Chess.com's new report throwing Hans Niemann's over-the-board career under the bus? All of this today on ChessWire. First off, I want to address the elephant in the room. Now, while Hikaru and Gotham Chess and all of these people are great content creators, and they've got a lot of content, they're always going to address the first thing that comes out when it comes out. I don't think they're going to give it too much analysis, too much thought. You know, their takes on things are really great when it comes to chess and so on and so forth, but I'm not really sure that they're going to read between the lines. Number one, because I know for a fact that Chess.com and Hikaru are pretty in cahoots with one another. I'm pretty sure Gotham Chess is in there too. You know, he hosts a lot of events and everything, so they don't want to hurt each other's feelings, and they don't want there to be bad blood. They want to have good business relationships, so I don't think that we're going to get an unbiased analysis. And that was something that I thought about when I first read this report, because I read it before I listened to any of these other content creators' takes on it, because I wanted to have my own unbiased take on the situation, on the report, and see what I thought. And while the first time I read it, I thought, this seems a little suspicious. There's something here. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm going to have to read through it again. I read through it again, and then I went through and I watched the Hikaru analysis, the Gotham Chess analysis, and others' analysis of it. And while a lot of these, like I said, great streamers, great chess players, great content creators, I think that they're just going to hop on board. They know they're going to get the clicks. They know they don't have to do a really in-depth analysis or anything like that. And plus, it's not going to be very unbiased, because they're all kind of together and making money, and they don't want to rock the boat. So I want to be an objective source for you all, do this for you all. And I read it again, and something did pop out to me that I thought was not saying that I'm throwing chess.com under the bus here, or any of them, but something to me that I think that we need to address, and something that I think a lot of people haven't said out loud, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So while I know we've all read the report and everything, or we've seen videos that have done analysis and skipped through the parts that they like and what they don't like, I'm going to go ahead and create a different picture here, a different narrative, if you will. And the first thing that I want to get into here in this Hans Niemann report by Chess.com is this. At the outset, we want to make clear that while these events highlight a critical topic in chess, cheating, the vast majorities of chess games do not involve any cheating. We estimate that fewer than 0.14% of players on Chess.com ever cheat, and our events are by and large free from cheating. Now, this right here is obviously just a CYA, you know, cover your ass statement. They're trying to tell everybody, like, okay, while there may be cheating going on with all of these top GMs that we're going to show you, and with, you know, Hans Niemann in the past and so on and so forth, and you're going to see a list of a bunch of confessed cheaters who were GMs, the majority of people on Chess.com don't cheat, because this would kind of be a liability to them. First of all, they don't want to come out and just say, like, hey, you're probably not going to get fair games on our website, so why don't you go try Lee Chess or Chess24, right? They're not going to do that. So I believe them here, though. We want to get down to this next part here. We said, we present evidence in this report that Hans likely cheated online, much more than his public statements suggest. However, while Hans has had a record-setting and remarkable rise in rating strength, in our view, there is a lack of concrete statistical evidence that he cheated in his game with Magnus or any other over-the-board OTB in-person games. We are presenting our findings here and will cooperate with FIDE on any further investigation. So their job is that they're chess.com. They do online not over the board games. It's all online. And they wanted to address Hans's statements that he made at the St. Louis Sinkfield Cup interview like a month ago, which was that he didn't cheat that much on chess.com. So all chess.com's job right now should be is to only clear their name and say, no, we did this because here's all the evidence. He cheated online. This is our wheelhouse. This is what we do. And, you know, anything over the board, that's on FIDE. We're not hosting these events. We're not putting them together. We're not the organizers. We don't hire the arbiters or anything like that. This is This is out of our realm. But they're not. And that was what struck me as odd. So let's go ahead and go down here a little bit. We get through a timeline here and Danny Lynch's statement that he made a couple weeks ago. And I want to get to this point right here. Does Chess.com believe that Hans cheated in his September 4th, 2022 over the board game against Magnus at the Sinkfield Cup? And more generally, do we believe that Hans has cheated in other over the board games? So that's a great question. And I think that's reasonable to ask and to address. So it says, despite the public speculation on these questions, in our view, there is no direct evidence that Hans has cheated at the September 4th game with Magnus or proves that he cheated in other over-the-board games in the past. That's a reasonable question to ask from everybody out there who loves Chess.com and plays on Chess.com, and for them to address. And I think that should be the end of it. That should have just been the end of it right there. But here we go. But that said, as set forth more fully below in section 10, we believe certain aspects of the September 4th game were suspicious, and Hans' explanation of his win post-event added to our suspicion. Okay, they're not FIDE. The job was to address him cheating on Chess.com. They're not FIDE. They're not any of the arbiters. They're not anybody who hosts these events. They're in a different realm. Hans said something that was contrary to what Chess.com said. Chess.com provide evidence so that way they can show that what Hans was saying was contrary to what evidence Chess.com said. Completely understandable. This I'm not getting. I'm not understanding why at this point I'm like, are they throwing him into the bus for over the board? Like, are the gloves off because he contradicted Danny Lynch and said, and Chess.com's finally like, because I know in this report, and let me give Danny Lynch the benefit of the doubt. In the report, you see Danny Lynch and Hans having conversations, and Danny's just giving him chance after chance after chance after chance, and it's true. I think Danny's a true gentleman, but I think at this point, maybe, I think the gloves are off. I think this is Chess.com saying the gloves are off here, buddy. We gave you every opportunity to redeem yourself and do this and that. So now we're just going to come after you full force. If you're going to attack us, attack this entity after we gave you all these opportunities, it's under the bus time now, kiddo. And that's what I think this is about. And while I understand that, and they're a business and they have a lot of interests that they need to protect, I'm not exactly sure that this falls into the realm of good ethics. And but we'll go ahead here and continue. He goes, in game 4, it provided to our suspicion. As to his over-the-board play more generally, in section 7 below, we discuss what we believe are apparent anomalies in Hans' rise in the over-the-board rating. Well, again, why? Why do we need that? Of note, we discuss how Hans became the fastest rising top classical chess player in modern recorded history much later in life. His peers did it after we had removed him from our site in 2020. So again, it still comes back to the question, why? You're looking at the evidence here, we can clearly tell, okay, Hans cheated, he admitted it, and he tried to redeem himself. End of story. And that he did, in fact, lie about the amount of times that he cheated online at chess.com. We'll just keep going here. Despite these potential suspicions, as shown in Section 8, an in-depth review of Hans over the board games using chess.com's statistical method revealed aggregate patterns of play that were interesting and possible for a rising... See, and they're still saying this. While interesting, are possible for a rising player approaching 2,700. So they still don't have any proof. They're just throwing out, like, I mean, in a way... I'm wondering if this is libel in a way. I mean, really, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm sure Hans is shut up. Fabiano made this point on Christian Chilla's podcast, and he said, he's probably shut up because he's lawyered up, and I would suggest he does, because I'm not... Why are they throwing out these speculations and throwing everything, more drama out there and more speculation amongst the community? Because that's all it's really doing here. In Section 9, we present Hans' top-performing events based on his overperformance in strength and rating. We are prepared to cooperate with FIDE. Again, here they are saying we're prepared to cooperate with FIDE. What are they trying to do with FIDE? So why do they want to cooperate with FIDE so much? Like, this is twice that they've said that. We're going to cooperate with FIDE. Like, if you want to throw us your chess games and we'll analyze them. But there's a problem there. And this is where we're going to get to another section. There's a problem with them cooperating with FIDE for a big, big reason. And Now here they've gone into the cheat detection. So we got to get to this first before we get back to that previous question. Why are they wanting to cooperate with FIDE, and can they cooperate with FIDE, and how would they do so? So top players only need to cheat. Now these are quotes from different masters. This is from Gotham Chess, Levi Roseman, and here's another quote down here from Magnus Carlsen. And this is problematic for me when it comes to catching a player who's cheating over the board. And that is, top players only need to cheat 3 times a game. Literally, top players know so much about the position that if you even insinuate that they might be better or worse, they might find the right move, but they really only need to cheat 1 or 2 times. That was from Levy. And then Magnus Carlsen stated, had I started cheating in a clever manner, I'm convinced that no one would notice. I would have just needed to cheat 1 or 2 times during the match, and I would not even need to be given moves, just the answer on which way was better. Or here there is a possibility of winning, and here you need to be more careful. That's all. And I would have been I wouldn't need an order move to be invincible, which that frightens me. So what they're saying here is you don't need to be fed moves or anything like that. People understand these positions when they're playing on such a high world-class level that they just need, like, oh, be careful here, really think about this one, or hey, this is your chance to really crush them, go for the attack or something like that, or you're worse off here. And so with that in mind, which that is all it takes. That is all it would take to actually win from cheating over the board. Finally, over-the-board cheat detection has not, to date, been the primary focus of Chess.com. Okay? Why? Because they don't do over-the-board games, y'all. Instead, Chess.com has spent years analyzing billions of chess games and developing an algorithm to catch cheating in online games, which happen at a much faster time controls than classical over-the-board games. We focus on time controls, which are 1 minute to 60 minutes per game, and not classical games played over several hours. Additionally, our cheat detection system is focused on the full spectrum of players, from very beginner up to GM, especially for faster time controls. So that's what they're focusing on. That's their money maker. These are the games that are inside of our paradigm. And so that's where the money is. That makes sense for us to spend time on doing that. It doesn't make sense for us to spend time developing algorithms for games that take anywhere up to 8 hours. Because we're not even, that's not even on our platform. There are no 8-hour games. So it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. And here it doesn't. So if you only need 1 or 2 people to kind of give you a nudge and say, hey, watch it here, or hey, you're winning, go for the attack here, or hey, look for a tactic here, and that's all you need, you don't need to be fed moves, then yeah, they're going to have a really hard time detecting over the board play, cheating. And that's why Ken Regan's software is so incredible. And I want to get to something about that real quick here as well. And he goes, we'll move on to this next section. He goes, however, the stronger player and the longer the time played, the more a human is capable of playing like a computer. And this is where the line can get very hard to draw. Now, even within cheat detection, different chess engines, different machines, and different amounts of time allocated to the moves will produce a wide array of best moves and evaluation scores of the moves played. We believe there is much more that can be done to develop methodologies and algorithms to ensure play at the highest levels of chess, play at classical time controls. But again, this has not been Chess.com's area of focus or expertise, and we have focused on the full range of players at faster time controls and do not offer detection for classical time control, nor actively monitor over the board play. So in other words, like they don't have any algorithms for this or cheat detection. All that they can do is what they've announced in section 10 and so on. And well, actually from section 7 here and so on, Han's over the board rise. Now this is where they really start to throw him under the bus because they've just clearly stated that that's not what our system does. That's not what our algorithms do. That's not what we spent money to do. And so all we can do now is throw statistical data at you. We're going to show you these players and what it looks like for their rises and how their stats looked and how this guy's looked and how this guy's looked and at what age they achieved them. So all they're doing here is throwing out speculation that's just going to raise a lot of questions in the chess community. And it doesn't, if you only need to cheat once or twice during a game, literally, as Levy said, I am Levy Roseman, then how in the hell are they gonna, is there any plans of catching this guy? I mean, the only thing that I could think is, you play in a Faraday cage or something like that. But we'll go down a little further here, and they're just, like I said, they're just throwing out statistics now that while suspicious, don't prove anything. And here we've got a footnote. In general, prodigies that reach 2,700 have smoother trajectories because they are working constantly toward their goal. They generally plateau or reach slower rates of growth once they start to hit their peak. Our view of the data is that Hans, however, has uncharacteristically erratic growth period mirrored by constant plateaus. Now, that may be true, yeah. But if we've done any research into Hans, we know something. He was like a chess streamer for a long time. That was like his big deal. And then he decided, hey, you know what? I'm going full after the Grandmaster. I'm going full after over the board. I want to redeem myself, and just started playing over the board over the time. Couldn't that be why he had a plateau and then rose and had another plateau and has risen later on? Because he was more focused on a streaming career and a public career rather than in a professional chess career per se, all on its own by itself as his core competency. But, again, they're just throwing out speculation, allegation. I mean, all of this is conjecture. This is 100% conjecture. He goes age, and he goes to table 4 of the key data and former analysis. The fact is there are only 13 players ranked in the top 50 world players younger than 25. Hans is the only player that became GM at age 17. The other 12 players all between 12 and 16. Okay, again, conjecture. There could have been other variables involved there that would dictate why he didn't reach it before 17. If he reached it at 16, does this all of a sudden all go out the window? I mean, couldn't he have been streaming or doing something else with his career, or creating a Chessable course for the Jabava London, or other factors that are outside of their analysis and statistics here? So I think this is just them throwing him under the bus. Honestly, I don't think I had anything else outlined, because the rest of this is just statistical nonsense. It's all. I mean, some of it, I guess, is a little weird, but I like they said, a player would only have to cheat once or twice in a game, and they wouldn't even have to be fed the moves. So, what's the point in posting all of this? So what's my final take on the whole thing? What's my verdict? Well, I've watched some Ben Feingold videos on this, and I agree with him 100%. I think that what he said was, did Hans Niemann cheat on Chess.com? Absolutely. Did he cheat over the board with Magnus? Absolutely not. And I think that he's just, Ben Feingold's got a lot of common sense. He's been around, the block quite a few times when it comes to, over the board games and cheaters, and he's been in the business for quite a while. So I like that. And something else that I want to get to real quick also, I want to address is Christian Chilla's interview with Fabiano Caruana, in which Fabi decided to go ahead and throw a kind of a punch at Ken Regan, which I thought was a bit arrogant for Fabi, which you don't really see very often. But basically, because I know Fabi, I don't know if Fabi does have any, background in software engineering, but I doubt he does. He has to spend all of his time playing chess to be where he's at. And, software is hard to beat, dude. It's really hard to beat. And one of the statements that Fabi said, he said that, he knew of a specific instance where there was somebody cheating and Ken Regan's software exonerated him. Well, that may have been one instance, but we just saw Chess.com say, and Levy and even Magnus Carlsen say, that he didn't need to even, a cheater wouldn't even need to be fed moves, just the right direction. So so with that being said, and you could be successful and invincible, and that would be frightening to Magnus, how can Fabi, determine that? And so that's the kind of speculation, kind of arrogance that's out there in the chess community right now, especially from a lot of these grandmasters. They're thinking that they're going to be able to beat the software. And so to further, put his point to put a further point on it, Fabi said then, well, what I'd like to see is Kenneth Regan's software then go to chess.com and see if his software can detect Hans cheating over the board through the years 2017 to 2020. Well, guess what's in the Hans Niemann report? That Ken Regan did come in, that he did analyze those games, and that he was able to conclude that Hans was cheating in those years on chess.com. So Fabi was trying to, make a little, smart point, and he got busted on that one, and it's right there in the chess.com Hans Niemann report. You can read it for yourself. You can look it up. So like I said, there's going to be a lot of arrogance. All this does is put a lot of speculation out there. Obviously, chess.com was wanting to help FIDE for some reason. Maybe they want more piece of that pie or something. I don't know what their business goals are. I'm not a business guy, but they're obviously, putting out a lot of speculation. And this, to me, this is conjecture because they've said it themselves. There's no way that they have any concrete proof. So what their reasoning is behind putting out all these statistics and all this conjecture is just beyond my capabilities of being able to reach any type of verdict on. But it isn't what the original intent was, which was to just simply show that Hans' statements at the Sinkfield Cup interview were contrary to what chess.com had said to them. Now, if they would have just left it there, then fine, move on your way. And I think that was very fair. That to me is kind of a gloves off, like, hey, we're going to keep this quiet, but you wanted to contradict us, and so we've got a whole business to protect. Here's what happened. Here's our Slack, channels, conversations with you. We gave you multiple chances, but then throwing them under the bus like this is over the board crew, which they have nothing to do with, and their algorithm can't even deal with, because they don't have an algorithm to deal with over the board cheating. So I think this says a lot. It raises a lot of questions. That's up for you to decide. I'd like to see what you have to say in the comments section below. If you like the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and listening to ChessWire. Have a good one.